Hey, yo, everybody! Welcome back to a special guide brought to you by your friend Lestion. This time, let's focus on Commander Kendra. It's been a long time since we had a Commander guide, and this one is actually one of my favorites. So I really want to make a video about her. She's still one of the best healing commanders in game, and the fact that she constantly annoys your opponent by spawning models all over the field, it's just pure poetry. Honestly, I didn't notice it at first, but her last Neuralink is actually massive. It makes keeping your opponent's field full of subwoofers ridiculously easy. Today I'll show you how to win with her, how to deal with her if she's on the enemy side, and we'll also go over her Neuralink abilities so you can see just how strong they really are, and maybe start craving them too. Abilities. Ability 1. Passive. Every second enemy attack spawns subwoofers with 1 health to the enemy field, which heals the commander for 525 at max level and reduces health of enemies when attacked. This is her core ability and the main reason why many people hate Kendra. It's not only one of the best healing abilities in game, but also the only ability that spawns models in the enemy field, which is huge because your opponent will have fewer spaces available to spawn units. Keep in mind that the enemy attack counter carries over between turns, meaning if the enemy only attack one time in his first turn, the next attack on his second turn will trigger this ability and spawn one model. This ability is especially strong against replica teams since they constantly spawn units. For units. For better understanding, let's see the subwoofer's abilities closely. Subwoofer abilities. Skill 1. On spawn heals the enemy commander for 525 health at max level. Take note, the healing made by them is considered as healing trigger for enemies, so your Cinta's outfit damage ability won't be triggering from them, for example. Skill 2. Immunity. This one is especially annoying because your opponent won't be able to get rid of them using AoE abilities. The only way to get rid of them is by directly attacking them. Skill 3. Attack reduces health of adjacent allies by 175% of enemies attack at max level. The ability trigger for all subwoofers in the line, and they also gain damage from the enemy's attack. This is where things start getting fun. Whenever you attack one of these subwoofers, units around will suffer a reduced health damage. But it doesn't stop there. If there are more subwoofers in the same line, they will also trigger for the same reduced health value for units around them. To get the most value out of this ability, you'll want to attack them with the highest attack possible, and once you have gathered enough models around the enemy units. So be strategic about when to hit them. Skill 4. Undead applies vulnerability 7% to the ally commander. This debuff is like an extra layer of damage that will be applied after the attack of your unit, and yes, it accumulates beyond 100%. Killing as many as possible will be the way to go most of the times, but remember to be smart when to kill them. Skill 5. Undead caused by the enemy commander's ability deals 525 damage at max level to adjacent allies. This last ability will only trigger when you decide it, since it only triggers with your third ability. In summary, it's a good extra damage layer to get rid of stubborn enemies. Ability 2 at turn 3 gains an ability for 3 turns. Before attack of an ally except replicas, increases attack by 90%. The mechanic here is pretty simple. Any non-replica and non-immune units that attacks after this ability is activated will gain the attack buff. But don't underestimate this ability either. The fact it triggers before attack will be essential for some matches, and since the commander already gives extra attack buff, it allows more flexibility to your comp, since you might not even need another attack buffer in your team. And remember, you want more attack. More attack means more damage, and more damage means your vulnerability stacks become even deadlier. Ability 3 at turn 5 applies vulnerability 40% to the enemy commander for each subwoofer on the enemy field. Subwoofers are destroyed, dealing damage, and the passive ability that spawns them is disabled. After reading this ability, some of you may have already figured out why I told you not to get rid of every subwoofer as soon as they pop out. Filling enemy field with them has another advantage besides denying enemy spawns. This ability depends on how many subwoofers your opponent has on their field when activated, accumulating large amounts of vulnerability just from this effect alone. Once the vulnerability value is applied, it destroys the models, activating the abilities 4 and 5 of the same models. The first will further increase the vulnerability value, and the second will damage opponents by the amount indicated on the model. As you can see, this is your finisher ability, since you'll have an empty enemy field and with so much vulnerability that your opponent probably won't survive more than 2 attacks afterward. Combos. Obviously, you'll want to build around healing units. I'm not going into extreme detail about every single one, but I'll mention the best options. Cinta. Best course of action will be to play healing comp with Cinta being the core unit. Even though her offhand ability will not trigger from subwoofers healing, she's still a no-brainer option. She'll benefit from your other healing units, will increase your unit's attack in the process, and cleanse your commander at least one time. Tora, you're going to want every possible means to survive, and Tora is the perfect fit for the role. She will heal your unit, commander, and cleanse your units. Bonita. She's another good option to stay alive longer since now her healing ability will also trigger when enemy attacks your commander besides abilities, as well as protecting your allies in the same row as her. Nona. She not only adds another layer of protection to your commander, but will also heal your commander by a lot. Sky, one of the favorite picks nowadays, and for a good reason. Resistance to your commander, healing and electrocute your opponents if they try to attack your commander. Bell, still one viable option for massive healing, reducing enemy attack and increase the HP of your units. Pretty solid pick. Kaya, the Sherry on the cave for the healing comp with Kendra. She will increase the attack of your unit for each healing trigger and increase your commander HP. This last ability works awesome with Kendra, activating Kendra's third ability when multiple subwoofers are destroyed and Kaya is on the field will trigger this skill like crazy. Selena, one of the best damage and tank units, but also a great healing unit if you have her outfit unlocked.
Then we have, of course, Bloom. I mean, who else could benefit more from the opponent having so much units in their field? She becomes a menace in no time.
Then, of course, you also have units like Ravenna, Brittany, Ginny, Wendy, Florence, Yumiko, Regina, and Corbin. These units are still good healers, but they are mostly used in a specific scenarios, and others are easily countered nowadays like Ravenna. Health buffers. About these units, you'll want health buffers more than attack buffers in your comp, so the best options in my opinion will be Morana or Wendy. Morana is probably the best option for this role, and Wendy only if you're running a poison healing comp. But don't get me wrong, if you want to also add more attack to your units, you can. It's only that you already have seen the Kaya and Kendra's attack buffs. Honestly, you shouldn't need more than that, but if you want, you can add one more attack buffer to the comp. Best one in my opinion will be Ginny or Rose. Androids. Marion becomes extremely strong late into the match because your units will usually be at full HP and in the best cases a lot of health. She can convert that into huge damage directly to the enemy commander. Ramona is also great because you are not playing replicas. Her HP buff on melee units and attack buff on ranged units will help you a lot. For me, the third option in almost any comp should be Ursula for the free antidote. But you can also use Chloe or Ruby if you like more attack. Counters. Desiree is probably the biggest counter to healing compositions. If your opponent doesn't have Cinta available, when Desiree activates its third ability, they're pretty much down for. Not specifically a counter, but a way to slow down Kendra's vulnerability will be Elaine Commander. Her resistance ability will slow down the vulnerability damage from Kendra. Marcella will also benefit from Kendra's constant damage trigger of her comp. Attack reduction units like Salma, Orin with outfit, or even Asha will make the damage dealt by the models be practically nullified since it's based on attack value of the attacker. Blind units will also stop her unit from attacking, which again translates in your opponent will not be able to destroy the subwoofers and you'll slow down her combo. Best unit for this purpose will be Casey since she also has attack reduction in her kit. Stun units, same concept, no attacking equals no bottles destroyed. Best one for this purpose will be Pixie, since she has attack reduction. Barrier. Right now, the only unit that has barrier effects is Esther, but it surely will be more units or maybe commanders that applies it in the future. So it's good to have in mind from now that barrier will absorb that reduced health damage dealt by Kendra's models. Blanche, since your opponent units will have huge attack, will take advantage of that, stealing it and becoming an absolute monster. Just be aware of Nona, Kirsten, or Ravenna. Neural Link abilities. Now let's take a look at her Neural Link abilities and see just how much stronger Kendra can become, because some of these upgrades are actually pretty crazy. Neuralink 1 with Marcella at level 3. Alternative ability tree number 1 applies antidote to a random ally for each subwoofer on the enemy field. Subwoofers are destroyed, dealing damage, and the passive ability that spawns them is disabled. At first glance, this might sound worse than the original ability, but this one is meant to be used against compositions that rely heavily on status effects or attack reduction debuffs. This gives you another way to clean up all those annoying debuffs and keep your team fighting at full power. You lose the extra 14% vulnerability for each woofer, but it might save your game. Neuralink 2 with Wanda at level 5. Alternative ability tree number 2. Increases attack of allies by 200 for each subwoofer on the enemy field. Subwoofers are destroyed. This is an Neuralink for those players who see big attack numbers and immediately say yes please. If you play correctly, you'll easily have around 8 subwoofers on your opponent's field, which translates into an extra 1600 attack for every single one of your units. Again, you lose the extra 14% vulnerability for each subwoofer. Honestly, this one comes down to your preferred playstyle, especially if you decide not to bring too many attack buffers. Neuralink 3 with Morgan at level 8. Alternative ability to number 1. Modified Area of Effect gains an ability for 3 turns. Before attack of a melee ally except replicas, increases attack by 125%. This one is a simple modifier. Instead of applying a 90% attack buff to all your non-replicate units and non-immune units, it increases the value to 125% for melee units only. Choosing this Neuralink depends entirely on your team composition. If your main damage dealer are melee units, this will probably be your best choice. Neuralink 4 with Elaine at level 10. Alternative ability to number 2. Modify Area of Effect. Gains an ability for 3 turns. Before attack of a ranged ally except replicas, increases attack by 125%. Again, this one is another modifier, but this ability is for ranged units. It also increases the attack buff by an extra 35%, and it will depend if your main attackers in your lineup are ranged units. Right now, this will probably be the best pick for most players since not many people are running melee heavy teams right now because Page benefits so much from them. Neuralink 5 with Krysa at level 13. Alternative ability 1 number 1. Modify Spawn Condition. Passive on enemy spawn grants them an ability spawns subwoofers to the ally field at the end of turn. This one is a little tricky, so don't get baited by the description. At first glance, it might sound like you'll be spawning subwoofers non-stop. But remember, this debuff only lasts for the turn an enemy spawns. Also keep in mind that enemy models will receive this debuff when they are summoned too. It doesn't mean it's slower than the original ability, but will be depend in your enemy comp. If it relies on replicas, or if your opponent spawns a lot of models, or if he plays with Agnes, this ability is actually massive and will spawn subwoofers like crazy. This is especially strong against Domino and Elaine players. Neural Link 6 with Hunter at level 15. Alternative Ability 1 Number 2 Modify Spawn Condition. Passive on enemy death spawns subwoofer with 1 health to the enemy field, which heals the commander for 525 health and reduces health of enemies when attacked. And this one is where Kendra starts becoming a real problem. For me, this is Kendra's best version of Ability 1 and the one that lets generate the most subwoofers in the shortest amount of time, since it depends on how many units you kill and also includes models for triggering. Your opponent's field becomes completely clogged up in no time by the amount of subwoofers deployed in a really short time. The only downside against it are very tanky compositions that can take a while to get killed. But that's an easy problem to solve by bringing high damage units like Irma. So in the end, it all comes down to playstyle. The original abilities takes more time to build up, but they're still extremely strong. On the other hand, these Neuralink variations give you faster subwoofer regeneration, bigger attack buffs, and overall shorter matches. Having access to them gives you many more tools to adapt against the current meta commanders. In the end, Neuralink abilities are a way to have different tools with one commander to catch your opponent off guard. It depends on which combination fits you the most and against what opponent.
For me, best variation will be Neural Link 6 for Ability 1, Original Ability for Ability 2, Neural Link 2 for Ability 3.
With a comp like Cinda's Core, Tora, Nona, Sky, and Bonita as healing defenders, Morana for extra HP, Kaya for attack buff, and extra HP for commander, and Irma for counter tanky comps. Neuralink 1 will be useful if you're facing a lot of status-based comps like Poison comp with Ophelia. Then, the other Neuralinks will really depend in which opponent you are facing. If you decide to go with a melee main attacker comp, then your best choice will be Neuralink 3 for ability 2. And you can trade your Bonita and Kaya for other melee units you might want like Ginny, Selena or Wendy. Or if you like Poison Healing Comp, then this Neuralink will fit you the best since Poison Comp has some melee core units like Nymeria, Raven and Wendy. Or if you decide to go with a range main attacker comps, then your best choice will be Neuralink 4 for ability 2, and you can drop Nona and Sky for another attack buffer, healer or counter you want, like Belle, Lola, Kitty, maybe Rose. And Neuralink 5 will be really good against lane or domino comps, or especially if you don't have high damage AoE damage units. Final thoughts. Right now, most used commanders are Paige and Elaine. First one is an attack comp that Kendra is really good against since she has so much survivability, and the second one is a defensive comp that many people are using to face Paige. That Kendra can deal with it if you play correctly, since you'll easily get rid of the models with your models, and denying Elaine's massive damage with her third ability with them also. So overall, she's a fantastic option in the current meta. If you already have the units available, just give her a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And that's it for today's video. Commander Kendra is definitely one of those commanders that starts as an innocent healer and then slowly turns into an absolute menace that fills your opponent field with subwoofers until they begin questioning all their life decisions. If you already have her, give her a try. And if you're one of those people suffering against her every day, well, I'm so sorry. As always, let me know down in the comments what Neuralink combination you're using or if you have discovered some crazy combo that I didn't mention. If this guy helped you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel and motivates me to keep making more guides like this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.